Hello. Thank you for the time to travel together today, even as we continue to distance. To all of you who find this space a meeting place, well, I'm Rory Hamilton, the minister at New Kilpatrick, and along with the congregation here and of Cairns and Milngavie who are joining us once more, whoever you are, there's space. We'll just shugle up and make more room as is necessary. People that have been travelling locally and more distantly, and we have a few postcards to briefly share. The first one comes from Scott and Sarah from Zoomday School. They've spent a few days in Whitby, climbing the 199 steps, visiting Falling Fox Waterfall and hunting for fossils. Some say there's a few fossils here too. From sisters Gillian and Jen, who enjoyed Castle Sween despite the weather. Well, they made the most of it, and I know them, and I'm quite sure that they did. Our next postcard comes from the Isles of Scilly. Fiona, that's Meg Barrowman's daughter, and her family have been camping there, so it's good to hear from you, and I'm glad you enjoyed your time there. And this week's furthest travelled postcard is from Toronto, and Nancy Howard, a friend of one of our members who is watching on YouTube. So greetings to you. Always good to grow this circle. So welcome to you all. All these are back home now, but if you do go away, we'll happily show your postcard once you return and be gently jealous of you wherever you end up. Our story postcard today, well, there are a couple. The first says, from farm to city, my new address is the penthouse, biggest skyscraper, big town, come and visit, parties every night. And then another one, from city to farm, my new address is pigsty number 3, second trough on the right. It's the rise and fall and rise again of the prodigal son.
We gather our hearts and minds and bring ourselves into your presence, a time to be still, to reflect, like the younger brother, to be open and ready to hear your voice call out to us from deep within, just as the Father did. Wherever we are, whatever is happening, may we use this moment to stop and just be, to find you in all things, in all of time, deep within our soul, calling out. And as we listen, we begin afresh each new day with grace and compassion, as those before us have done. Hear us as we say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
He just left. That was it. The father didn't want to talk to the older son because his younger had just taken everything, not off the shelves or out the bank. Those things really didn't mean anything. The younger son had taken everything worth living for the old man. Asking for your inheritance before your father's demise was just wishing you dead, and that's how he felt. The father was sitting at the window, looking at the dust now settled in the path his son had taken. But that was 5 years ago. The younger son, if he had felt guilty, didn't anymore. In fact, he didn't feel much. He was numb to everything other than the moment he was living right now. It had been a fast life, it had been full on. He had everything he wanted, the wealth of fame and power and kudos. But that was years ago. Now he found he was staring into swill, with a finger drawing random shapes that meant nothing. He was lost, just as his infamy would describe him in the future. Lost to life, to others, and to himself. The foolishness, the embarrassment. He had been taken for a ride by everyone, including himself. He recognised nothing around him or anything about himself, except the truth. Life, as he understood it, had ended. But then, a dullest glimmer of something. It wasn't exactly hope, but it was perhaps a way out. I'll negotiate my sonship for servanthood. That might work. He tried. The words were on his lips. He had spoken most of them, but his father, who had just run to him and he'd never seen that before, let him talk. But he wasn't listening, because he had something to say that would trump even the best arguments of his son. Welcome home, son. Lost son. Now found son. Dead son, but now alive son. Now we can party. The older son, remember him? Well, he felt no one had. Everyone was celebrating along with the fatted calf. That's not meant to happen, the elder son was saying. That's against the rules, said the ruler of the farm now. He was a bookkeeper, and he felt someone had just cooked them. He was the only one who hadn't given up, hadn't lost anything, hadn't been defeated, actually hadn't died at some point in this story. He was still alive, and he felt miserable.